Hey everybody, this is a preview video for our Masechet Mastery project we'll be doing this year. I'm going to walk you through all the steps, sorry for the squeaking of the table there. I'm going to walk you through all the steps that we're going to be going through for our mastery project. I'm going to give you examples from a Gemara that we did last year, just to show you what I'm looking for in each step along the way. Okay, what you're looking at here is a list of the things that you're responsible for the mastery. It's going to be up on Haiku. We're going to do each one step at a time. So we're going to start with the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do, which is, the first thing is answering summary questions, which I'm going to hand to you. You should know how to answer. It's just simply answering questions. You're going to and submit that. Then you're going to have the Sugya preview. The Sugya preview, what you need to do is identify the common terms and what they will indicate. Meaning, if I just skim through a Gemara and I say, hey, look, there's that term, there's that term, there's that term, before I even read it, I say, well, what does that mean? What's that going to tell me about this Gemara? And then highlighting the separate statements. I want you to show me, hey, look, here's a Mishnah, here's a Braita. And you can either do one of two things. You can either make your own preview video where you just go through it and I'll show what I mean, or you can create a slideshow with Dapim annotated, which I'll show you what that means. First, we're going to look at what it means to create a preview video walking through the above. So here it is. So I would record myself doing the following. Okay, so when I look at the Gemara here, it begins with where it says V'amar Rabba on top, and it goes down to, we're going to go down to where it says Bati Rabba over there. So when I take a look at this Gemara, I see, first of all, I see it says V'amar Rabba. V'amar Rabba, Rabba is an Amora. So clearly we have a ruling from an Amora here. It's what we call a memra. And the way that we know it's a ruling from Rabba is if you keep going, one second, I just want to thin this out a little bit. If you keep going, I forget it. If you keep going, you'll see that it has the word patur, and then it has the word chayav, right, one after another, which means either there's going to be two cases here, or there's going to be a machloket, one person says patur, another person says chayav. Then I see it says Amar Rava. Rava is also an Amora, so we have another statement from an Amora here. But if I look afterwards, I don't see anything about chayav or patur. So there's a good chance that Rava, although he's an Amora, is only explaining what Rava had said. Then if I keep going, I see the phrase Ditnan, which means as it says in the Mishnah. The Dalet there means like it says. Tanan means in a Mishnah. So now I'm quoting a Mishnah. I see that it says Chayav at the end of the Mishnah there. So there's the ruling in the Mishnah. And then I see Patur. There's a ruling in the Mishnah. And then I have again Ditnan, another as it says in the Mishnah. So I know we're quoting another Mishnah. And there I see also the word Chayav and the word Patur. So I know that. So now from looking through this Gemara, I can see that we're going to start with the statement by Rabbah, okay, and a Memra, where there's one case that's Patur, one case that's Chayav. It's not a Machlok because it doesn't say somebody else says. I have Rava's statement, who's also an Amor, but he doesn't actually say anything about a rule, no Chayav or Patur or anything like that. So he's probably commenting on what Rava said. We have the phrase Ditnan, which appears twice, which means twice we're going to bring Mishnayot Ditnan as proofs. And it says the word Chayav and Patur in the first Mishnah, Chayav and Patur in the second Mishnah. So clearly we're going to have also, just like Rabbah had Patur and Chayav, we're going to have Patur and Chayav in these Mishnayot as well. So what we just did was the part where I pointed out all the important phrases and what they're going to mean. Then there's also the separate statements. So I'd point out here, we have from V'amar Rabbah, that's Rabbah's, that's his memra, that's his halachic statement. And each Mishnah, again, I would just point this out. The first Mishnah, Ditnan, begins where it says Kavash Alav Tocha Or, and actually goes all the way down till here. And then it says Ditnan, another Mishnah, which goes from here to here. So basically, what we see in this Gemara is we have three halachic statements. We have Rabbah's memra, and then we have two separate Mishnayot. And the analysis is going to be somehow comparing those two, or those three, I should say. Okay, so that's the end of the first part. If you were making your own video, the other possibility was to make an annotated slideshow of annotated dab. I'm going to show you that here. Okay, so now the part I'm going to show you now is the annotated slides, which you can do instead of what I just recorded. Here, you don't actually have to record yourself. You just have to make each slide. On each slide, you're going to highlight or circle whatever it is the important phrases, things that stick out, and what it means. Instead of explaining in your own words, you just make a little bit of put a box or whatever it is where you explain what that statement is. So here's the first slide, which highlights the Amar Rabbah and Rabbah, which means we know we're going to see things right. The phrase is Ditanan, which means as it says in the Mishnah, right? So we know they're Mishnah, they're going to be brought as proof. And again, all you have to do is make this slide and then highlight those two and then put a box to show what, some text to show what these things are. Again, here we see there's Patur and Chayav. So there's Patur and Chayav in the Memrot and the Mishnayot, the Memra and the Mishnayot. And then we have Rabba's Memra. That's why I wrote Memra here. We have Mishnah number 1, and then you have Mishnah number 2. Okay, so all those are just slides that I'd want you to make. Okay, on the sheet that I'm going to hand out, I'm actually going to give you something that looks like this, where it says, I want you to identify the common terms, what they will indicate. I will also give you a list of which terms they were. So you won't have to just figure them out. Similarly, when I ask you to highlight the separate statements, like I did previously, where I highlight a Rabbah statement, I highlighted the Mishnah, I'm going to actually tell you, you have to highlight 3 quotes from Mishnayot, which are 3 words for each quote. You have to highlight 4 quotes from Sukkim, something to that effect. Okay. Now we move on to the next part, which is the reading and translating video. The important part here is that it has to include explanations in addition, and you have to include the Gemara asks, the Gemara answers. I'm not asking you just to spit back, to read back the translation chart while you go through the Gemara, but it has to come with some sort of explanation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some examples of what you would do instead of just literally spitting back the translation. Okay, so for example, instead of saying, this was the literal translation would be in this past Gemara, Rava says both of these can prove for Mishnayot, on his heart as it says in the Mishnah. On his heart as it says in the Mishnah doesn't really mean anything. Instead, you would say, and again, while you're recording yourself, Rava says both of these rulings from Rava can be proven correct using similar rulings for Mishnayot. The on his heart ruling, which is referring to the ruling about murder, can be proven to be correct as it says in the following Mishnah. So the bold are the words that I would add in, which is not part of the literal translation, to make it make sense as opposed to just spitting back what the translation is. Another example, instead of saying, this would be the Gemara that you're actually going to use, instead of saying the Mishnah excludes Chalifa, what does that mean? The Gemara answers, according to Rav Huna, the Mishnah excludes Chalifa. So the Gemara answers, according to Rav Huna, gives you an insight to what the step is going to be talking about. Instead of saying, what does the count the Reish exclude? What does the count the Seif exclude? Those are just words that don't really mean anything. You would say the following paragraph. The Mishnah lists 3 methods of great Kedushin, blah, blah, blah. So the Gemara asks, so what does the count in the Reish mean to exclude from being a valid method of Kedushin? So I'm trying to be add a little more explanation when you do the translation video. And again, on the sheets that I'll hand out to you, I'll give you one of these for each of the Sugya 1 and Sugya 2, Unit 1, Unit 2. I will also add in for you, what are the things that you should make sure you explain in the video, okay? Here are the steps. There's a question, there's an answer, there's an explanation. So you'd say, the Gemara asks, the Gemara answers, the Gemara explains, the Gemara asks, the Gemara answers, the Gemara explains. Those are the steps that are going to be in there, therefore you should know which phrases you're going to kind of start with. Then there's what I call the sugya work, where you're actually doing work on the daf of Gemara. You're going to mark off your daf Gemara, following specific instructions. This is stuff that we've done already. For example, I might ask you, this would be from the Gemara that in Bava Kama, where I want you to highlight Rabba's first scenario ruling, Rabba's second scenario ruling. I want you to circle the ruling. The 3 words that say here comes a Mishnah, the 2 words that say here comes a Mishnah that proves Rabba's damage ruling to be correct. The text of Mishnah 1, the text of Mishnah 2, I want that highlighted each in a separate color. And here it is, right? So the Rabba's first scenario ruling, here it's in yellow. The second one, it's in green. This is what you would do, the sugya work and instructions that you are given. Then I'm going to ask you guys to summarize the Gemara in your own words. Again, it's not just putting the Gemara on paper. So for example, this is a paragraph that I would use to summarize the Gemara that I was showing you. Again, it was the Gemara when you had 2 Mishnayot, when the coal is put on somebody's heart, and they let to kill them, or they let their clothing burn. This is from last year. And then the Mishnayot that prove that Rabbah is correct. And again, if you read this summary paragraph yourself, again, you can pause the video whenever you want. You can go back to this. I'm going to put this also on Haiku, a link to a doc, a folder, Google Doc folder that has kind of some samples in it. You see, this is going through. This is me putting in the Gemara into 3 paragraphs. Finally, there's going to be a visual diagram. Record yourself describing the Gemara using the visual aids you are given. I'm going to give you visual aids. Like flow charts. I'm going to ask you to record yourself describing those flow charts. So this would be an example. So this is what you would say. So I'm gonna imitate what you would say in the video. So this first chart is actually drawing out Rabbah's rulings. Okay, and Rabbah has 2 rulings. In both cases, someone put a coal on a victim. In one case, it's on the victim's chest, and he allows it to kill him, and there Rabbah said patur. And in the second case, he put it on the victim's clothing, and the victim allowed the clothing to be destroyed. And in that case, Rabbah ruled that you are chayav to pay for damage. Right? Here's the case, right? And then here are the rulings. And the last part, of course, is you're going to be asked to read and translate the Gemara for me or for Dovi, and then we're going to discuss it a little bit just to show that you really understand what's going on. I will discuss in class exactly how this is going to be graded, how much time we're going to spend on it, etc., etc. You can always go back to this video to kind of help you get a sense of what I'm asking you to do. Good luck, everyone, and see how it goes.